Paranormal King Radio Network, bringing you the best paranormal hosts and guests. Bringing you the best paranormal shows and features. Playing the top musical artists from around the world. Paranormal King Radio Network. With the best paranormal hosts and guests. The best in paranormal shows and features. Playing the best musical artists from around the world. Paranormal King Radio Network. The paranormal will never be the same.
You are listening to Paranormalities and Ponderings with the C.A.S.P.I.R Paranormal team. Brought to you by the Paranormal King Radio Network and hosted by Frank Lee. Join us for the next hour as we discuss ghosts, spirits, hauntings, and other worldly phenomena that has yet to be explained, in hopes of finding answers. This show is meant to be a resource for those of you who, like us, seek to find answers to the unknown. We hope you find it informative and enjoy the show. Once again, thank you for listening.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Paranormalities and Ponderings. I'm your host Frank Lee, and thank you all for tuning in tonight. I hope you're ready to learn. I've got a great guest for us tonight, and we're going to be talking about some interesting experiences and also sharing some interesting Christmas facts throughout the show as well, since Christmas is only a couple of days away. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce to everyone Kenny Attison from LIGHTS Paranormal. How are you tonight, Kenny?
Good. How are you, Frank?
I'm doing excellent. I'm glad to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being on. So, I'm going to ask, how have things been lately? Have you been busy, or a little bit more busy than normal?
Actually, during this time of year, I try to take a break. Me and Winter don't really get along too well, and plus the cold weather. Mm-hmm. We don't really investigate as much as we do during the summer. But the activity definitely goes up. I mean, it hits more home for me in the sense where in my own house, the activity definitely goes up. Things that I don't usually see. Too often kind of, reoccur more now. And so, I really don't have to travel far to experience stuff. But, yeah, usually, it's been a little quiet for me, but other than that, I mean, it's been a great ride so far.
Right. I can definitely relate on not getting along with the cold weather very much, coming from someone who has arthritis.
Yeah.
It's it's brutal. I'm definitely a summer person.
Yeah, the warm weather's where it's at. I mean,
Right. Right. I agree. That's good weather for those outdoor investigations and just living, moving, not sounding like a bowl of Rice Krispies when you get up in the morning. That sort of
telling
thing.
me. I know that all too well.
But well, I've got to ask, what got you started in the paranormal, or what sparked your interest to make you want to get into research?
Well, it came together, within the past, I'd say 4 or 5 years, where I actually made the decision to do it more on on an expanded basis. But I really didn't have much of a choice whether to believe in the paranormal. It kind of just has always been a part of my life. Growing up as just growing up in general. I experienced stuff. Anywhere from myths to hearing, unexplained noises, seeing, just seeing apparitions, getting mental impersonations of just random things, different events, just a whole bunch of events. So I never really had too much of an opportunity to be a skeptic before, being a believer. So, pretty much, I had to kind of train myself, to go out and actually do investigations, because, when you're just an outpour of just experiencing stuff, you have to learn how to kind of train yourself for it, in the sense where, you got to block out certain things. That was mostly my problem, was that everything was just coming in, and, I didn't really have a filter on it, and it actually started to affect my health, to the point where, I almost, I was pretty in bad shape, just put it in general. But then
I can imagine.
It was pretty terrible. But then I was shown, hey, this is the reason why things happen. I mean, did it take care of the problem? 98% yes. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely been a really big paranormal ride. I've seen and experienced so many different things. So after a while, when I finally got a hold on, because when anybody experiences stuff, especially when you're a kid, I mean, everybody says, "Oh, the monsters under the bed." Well, they were floating above me. So
right.
I didn't really have to worry about under the bed too much. When you're laying there and you're seeing things just wisp, around the room, wisp about the room, and try to talk to you, and it's a crazy thing, and I always love. I used to be one of those people that said, well, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but because whenever we deal with a client or somebody just asking a question, they're like, people think you're probably going to think I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, trust me, if I haven't gone through it, I'm going to go through it real soon. So I don't think you're crazy at all. Because you should hear some of the stories that I got to tell you. So,
right.
If we're on the SS, then we're buddies. I'm just saying. So.
Right. I can definitely relate. That's when we get a call. I can't tell you how many times I have someone that will say, I feel crazy, and I know this is going to sound crazy to you. And I'll stop them right there and I'll say, okay, if you think this is going to sound crazy, let me tell you a few stories about some of the things I've seen and experienced, and I guarantee you'll feel much better about telling me what you've got to say.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's also a great, ease, to set them at ease too, because they don't know what, most people, don't know, if they're actually experiencing something or they think they're losing their minds. I said, listen, I try to take everybody, for their own personal experience. I don't try to lump them. Well, okay, this is what you're experiencing, and I usually hear them out what they have to say. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that try to fake photos, fake videos and stuff like that. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, because I always revert back to my situation where it's like I told my parents and they were like, okay, you're crazy. So and then later on they're like, well, how could we have known that you you knew about this stuff and this stuff was happening to you. So I try to, maybe that makes me a little bit of a sucker in a sense where, I might get a little criticized for, well, why, you're going to believe that early. Well, I'd rather believe somebody than find out that they might be doing underhanded stuff than not believe them at all and make that person feel like they have nowhere to turn to.
Right.
It's really, the field is open to so much interpretation, but at the same time, there are defining, factors in certain things, but that's why they call them personal experiences. Because, as much as many people are in one room at a time, each one of them experiences maybe, something together, but they also experience those little, variations too, so I try to keep them, I try to keep people, feeling that they have a safe place to talk, and if they need to, if they need to say anything, if they want to post something, go for it. One of the things on having a Facebook page is, I try to keep it pretty, pretty peaceful in the sense where you could everything is intelligently debatable. But if you're gonna put it out there like oh, you're like name calling or what's the matter with you, any type of demeaning behavior, that's there's no room for that. Because if you're gonna, I've actually had a couple of people, come on the page just to say, oh, well, you guys are phonies and this stuff doesn't exist. I'm like, well, then if it doesn't exist, why are you even on the page? That's like that. It just doesn't make any sense. So I just try to keep an open mind with stuff because that's that's something that I would have wanted when when I was growing up experiencing this stuff, and so that's the kind of mindset I try to keep with other people too.
Right, and that's definitely the best way to handle it. You mentioning that about the Facebook page, we've had similar experiences as well, and even on our YouTube page, we had someone leave a comment on one of our videos that it was a video that showed some of the EVPs. We called it a location, and they said that they posted a comment that said you're all fakes. My team investigated there for 4 hours and we didn't get anything. And after about and this is, in the description it tells that this is after 7 hours of investigating across multiple cameras, multiple audio recorders and everything else. I mean, so if you look at it, that's in total well over 25 hours worth of data by the time everything was added up.
Oh yeah, and then you got to review every single thing in real time. Like people don't realize the amount of time. Just the time that we have, allotted to other things that we have to do, and then on top of that, do reviews and all that stuff. It's all real time. There's no other way around it. So I definitely know where you're coming from. I apologize for cutting in.
The only comment that I left on it was, I said, I commented to it. I said, so by your logic, if we investigate the location and have no activity during our investigation, but you come in behind us and you get activity, then that would mean that you were faking, correct?
Oh, I didn't think about that one.
Right.
I bet you that's what he said. Oh.
and then and I made sure to point out, if you think that you can make a decisive determination from only 4 hours of investigating, a location, then you're not familiar with the way paranormal investigation works.
Yeah, and it stinks to say the word. I mean, I don't have any sort of lot in paranormal investigations where but there's I hate to say it, but I mean these people are not even amateurs that say things like this. It's like it's not just going out with a video camera and being like, oh, come out wherever you are. It's you're
Right.
making a connection. You're making a connection on so many different levels. You're making a connection with the location. You're making a connection with the spirit. You're making a connection through your equipment. It's not just you're not holding. When you go on these investigations, people seldom realize that these devices that we use no longer are just a radio or a video camera. They all become divination tools used for contacting whatever spirit may be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's we just like a flashlight has a battery. We are the battery that powers these devices to communicate with. And the whole thing is that people have to realize that it's not our frequencies are tuned differently. We're pretty much slowed light.
Mm-hmm.
And we operate at different frequencies at different vibrations. That's what makes us unique. And the whole thing is that okay, so you didn't find something. It's not that it doesn't exist or it's not viable or anything like that. It's just that place is not in tune to your frequency. You can't,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a certain, mindset and put your body in a certain, a certain set to be able to communicate with with spirits. They're not, and depending on what your body's set into, that's also going to determine what kind of spirits that you come into contact with too. If you had a bad day, if I have a bad day or I'm not in the right mindset, I will not do an investigation.
Right.
Because I will attract something negative.
That is such an awesome point.
It goes the opposite way too. If even if you, I mean, not saying you have to skip into a location. I'm ready to speak positive things. It's just your body. You attract what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, and just like people, some people don't get along. Some people, oh, that guy's not really somebody I want to talk to. That's the same thing with spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And to say something and to, call you, the F word, the other 4-letter F word, it's ridiculous because, I mean, maybe I'm out of my mind about this, but, I look at it totally different. I say, that's awesome, man, because I couldn't find anything there. I'm so good because at least you proved my hunch that
Right.
there might have been something there. Even if I didn't catch anything, I am darn proud that you caught something. Because that makes it, hit home for me. Whenever something good happened to somebody, I'm always, I always, get the feel like it's an accomplishment on my part. And that goes with everybody on the pages. I don't know if you ever noticed, when somebody hits, a certain amount of likes on the page, I always say congratulations because that's not just a win for my team, that's a win for the team,
Right.
which is every paranormal team out there. You get one step closer. That's awesome. You're finding more evidence. Why would anybody that knows how difficult this field is, knows how much time and effort goes into doing this? I mean, it's not like we're getting paid for this. This is all like free time that we have.
Right.
So I mean,
I agree 100% that we should be, teams should be working together, that helping build each other up, and because that's and this is just my personal opinion, although it's a very strong one, but I believe that before mainstream science truly steps in, truly takes us seriously, they've got to quit seeing us bickering back and forth. They've got to see the teams working together, a common goal. They've got to see more of that.
oh, definitely.
I use the analogy quite a bit that, if you went, your doctor referred you to a surgeon, and during the visit to your surgeon wasn't talking about your illness, your surgery, what you needed to do, but instead spent half or more of the visit trashing other surgeons, talking about how bad they are, how they should get a malpractice suit, everything else, then are you really going to feel comfortable seeing that surgeon because of his mindset?
Exactly. People don't really, and I don't like. Maybe it's not necessarily true, but I think those groups that go out there and they put people down. Some groups, they don't even have really any evidence of their own. I've heard groups ripping off other people's evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, come on, that's really. I mean, and it's not even, even if you ask, hey, listen, this is a really awesome piece of evidence that you caught. Can I share it to my page? I wouldn't mind. I mean, people have shared my investigation albums too, my videos and stuff. Just give me the credit. But if you're going to say that it's yours,
right.
Dude, come on. I mean, really, don't throw me under the bus for your lack of, innovation. It's not even that hard, and I shouldn't really say that, but, for me, I get stuff all the time. I mean, I constantly, most people see it from the view where they don't really see things happening too often. So, when it does happen, it's an exciting ordeal. Just imagine living with spirits every day and knowing that they're there, and they want acknowledgement, and it gets very tiring because even though they don't mean to, it's not necessarily a negative spirit. It's just that the spirits use your energy.
Right. So
when you're constantly being bombarded, and that's one of the things that I found out, because you never realize these things, and that's why this field is a constant learning experience, and why people shouldn't really, create bad ties between groups, because you could learn so much from each other.
Exactly.
I would have never known that, the reason why half of my ailments were because I was being bombarded by all different kinds of spirits. I mean, like every day going to work. Okay, somebody jumped in the car. They want me to acknowledge them. It's really,
Right.
It gets to be a lot sometimes, and I mean, an everyday thing. It's really an interesting life, So,
it is, and someone with, with the empathic type of abilities like you've got, if you have those traits, and when you come into contact with these spirits, they can sense who can sense them, and they're going to be attracted to you naturally. So you have a whole other set of problems that the average person doesn't have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it's and it's not just with spirits. It's with living people too. I've always had this personality where people come to me with their problems. So naturally, I would assume at least that the same thing happens with spirits as well. One of the first times I ever used an echo box, within 5 minutes, it was like, "Hey, who is that guy?" And he was like, and then a woman said, "Oh, he's one of them ghost hunters." I'm like, "Okay, I'm sold." And I even told Danny about that. I'm like, because I'm telling you, these people create these amazing tools for us to use, and they get thrown under the bus by, and threatened. And I'm like, that's ridiculous, or oh, that stuff is too expensive. Listen, I don't know if you've been around eBay lately, trying to look up ghost stuff, but anything with the word paranormal or ghost automatically becomes 3 times the amount.
Absolutely.
I'm like, not for nothing. If Danny wants, and I actually, this was actually today that this happened. He was like, somebody's complaining that my app should be free instead of $20. I'm like, listen, if you're getting that much responses with an app that's only $20 because that's all he wanted, just to say that, I think he undermined himself,
mm-hmm.
because his app is widely used. It's it's for the time that he took to actually develop that app. I hate even calling it an app, because it's an ITC product. It's an ITC device. it's amazing. $20 is a giveaway, pretty much, dude. You know, and somebody else commented and said, these are the same people that spend $80 to $100 on a radio.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, and these are groups. Some of these people are from other groups. I'm like, dude, if you know what you're up against, nobody told you to sign on to this stuff. Okay, you know, listen, I love getting a deal. Okay, you know what I'm saying, as much as any other person. You know, if the whole world was free, that I would be okay with it. If it's free, it's for me. But you know what? I mean, you know, I got $500 cameras. I got I got all sorts of things. Why wouldn't I want to spend that little amount of money to A, support somebody that's in the field with me, and B, you know, I mean, and you could tell, you know, I mean, other, you know, stores that you go to, I mean, you could tell they kind of tack on the price, you know, because it's, you know, and just because, just because it has night vision. I've seen night vision cameras not even modified, like, you know, the Sony night vision cams. It goes for $800. Meanwhile, you go to a regular site that doesn't have the word ghost or paranormal in it, and it's $300, $400. I'm like, really? You know, that's not even being inventive. I mean, I could even understand paying a little bit extra, you know, for somebody to modify it to full spectrum, you know, but it just jumping the price up like that amount of money for absolutely no, innovative modifications on there is ridiculous.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, and you mentioning the EchoVox, we've been testing it for a few months now, and it's an amazing. And I'm like you, I hate to call it an app because you know if you say app, automatically what comes to mind is like what was it, Ghost Radar and Ghost Detector and you know the little
Spud Pickles, yep.
Right, and the little apps that you know you could tell that you know these aren't real tools. But now with knowing a little bit about Danny's background and what he does, it's easy to see you know where he's put the work into the EchoVox, and we've used it with just amazing results. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I've gotten accents that would come through other languages, and it was just you know unbelievable with the and with the EchoVox only being $20, that is not a bad deal, because even the SB7 or the PBS7 is going to be, you know, I think the lowest I've seen it lately has been about $60.
Yeah, and the price has not, you know, it hasn't gone down in price at all. In fact, you know, it you know, pretty much that's what they're selling it at. If you want it, there you go. You know, I got mine for $65, so I guess I got a little bit of a worse deal. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but the whole thing is that it's, you know, nobody sees behind the app and the time it takes to be in. And you know what? You don't have to really sit there and look into it too much. Just realize, you know, this is an app built from the ground up by a guy that has a musical background. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Which I could definitely relate to, and it's kind of awesome that he's a drummer, because I used to be a drummer too before, you know, life got in the way of living and whatever. You know, and you know, so I kind of connect to him on two different levels. You know, the paranormal aspect and the musician aspect.
I
you know,
can
so
relate.
so, and I could see where he got this stuff from. You know, most people, you know, just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's fake. You know, people always use that word. You know, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. When people fake things, just like when they lie, truth usually comes out. No matter what. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to personally serve it. It dishes itself out. Whatever you put out, you get back. So, you know, I mean, but it's, you know, it's like you mentioned, the ghost radar. You know, just like after 5 minutes, you know, you could see, this is kind of, you know, not very, very true or accurate, because it just told me, you know, blue, and there's absolutely nothing blue, and there's no way to really judge, besides, just using there's no. Let me retract that statement. There's no way, based just on an app, that it's going to work.
Right.
You have to be, you're a part of that device that that you're using. So if you're just sitting there, okay, well, it's not doing anything. I mean, it's like I said. I turned on, and I was skeptical too. I was like, well, Ethan, I was skeptical. I'll admit, I'm like, I don't know if this is really going to work, because it was new, it was innovative, it was something that nobody else heard of. The ghost boxes, usually, the SPV7, or it was, either Andy's box or Frank's box, and these were physical hardware made, devices, and boom, people. You don't even have to, with the amount of reviews and the amount of people that appreciate it, you can kind of tell it's not like, it's not something where he's deceiving anybody. It's an amazing tool. We've had, I haven't had, accents or names, or different languages rather than that. But I've had home investigations where they've named every person in the house. Now let me ask you something. If that app was fake, or not, then how did it know about 5 or 6 people's names, and then my name too, and my mother's name?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's kind of a long shot. It's a very big long shot. To pull seven names out of something that's not real. So I mean, like I said, the first 5 minutes after I took the plunge of buying it, just saying, let me see what it's about. I was sold. There was no doubt about it. I'm like, okay, this is me. I'm good with it.
Right, and that's something that you've always got to consider. Is when you're getting that kind of validation, that makes it pretty hard to deny it.
Oh, definitely. And they weren't just one syllable things. They were. I mean, it spoke my full name, Kenneth Attison. That's what, five syllables, dude. You can't even pull that off on a radio. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and and that's one reason I lean more towards the Echo Vox is because with like the SB7, you're getting you're having sometimes snippets of the of DJs talking and things like that could possibly come through, and that's always something that is a huge argument with people that listen. And whereas with the Echo Vox, it's using your phone's built-in microphone, and all it's doing is adding a little bit of white noise to it.
No, exactly, and it's unbiased white noise. It's not, where you might get, like you said, a snippet of, of somebody saying, here, or something like that. It's completely random generated noises, and I always show people. I say, they say, there's that name in there. I'm like, well, let me show you what it sounds like without the echo, and just completely flat. And it's like, they're not even, they're just normal little, they're not even words. They're not even really, I mean, I can't even really say that it's like almost a syllable in anything, because it's just like, just randomly generated,
Absolutely. And just a few minutes ago when you were talking about being a drummer, I had to do this. I posted a picture in the chat room of me. I come from a background of being in bands, and always played guitar and bass, piano, things like that. So I posted a picture in there of me on stage at Sloss Furnace playing a concert back a couple years ago.
That's right, yeah.
But now,
and
oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, after you.
Well, I was just thinking, because I figure you've probably experimented with this as well. Have you ever tried, when you're on an investigation, seeing what kind of effect that music has on the location?
I have not tried that yet, but I kind of, not saying that I kind of know what the outcome is going to be of that. I haven't necessarily used that because, just in my situation, I don't want to. I know it's going to sound really, really, kind of. Was it maybe far-fetched or something like that? To me, that would be, because depending on what notes, like I said, everybody works in vibration and frequency. Well, that's also the basis of, of music as well. So, I don't want to I kind of like getting the ambient, vibrations of the area and not kind of, protruding something musically. Because, and this, maybe I'm thinking a little bit too much into it, but unfortunately that's always my nature, is that if it hits a wrong chord, or a wrong note, I mean, that's, you hit the wrong note on glass and it'll break. Right. So, just having maybe, that wrong note might induce something, that's, that might not want to be, I can't describe it. It'll induce, an energy that maybe you might not want to, might not want there. Perfect example. If you ever watched Ghost Adventures, in which I'm sure,
oh, yeah.
a lot of people have, the sound, it's maybe a 5 second, not even a 5 second sound, maybe like a 3 second sound in the beginning when it either comes back or from commercial, a shrieking sound.
Right.
I'll tell you this much, I had to stop watching those paranormal shows because of that exact reason, and this is why I kind of saying what I'm saying. It's those kind of things are meant to induce fear, and to me that's not enjoyable. After a while, it started not being enjoyable because of these sounds to creep average audiences out.
Right.
Which, I mean, it's fine. Most people can handle that. For me, being I guess a little bit more sensitive to sounds and stuff, and knowing what it's inducing, the thing tore right through me. I'm like, I can't do it. The last time I watched Ghost Adventures, I wound up having I forget which episode it was, but I think it might have been the Zozo demon one. I'm not too sure. I wound up having a little negative activity at my house. Which I try to, I try to not have, because I don't really sleep too well as it is. It's kind of annoying when you're trying to go to sleep and something's like, hey, over here, feel me, I'm over here. And then, you get the touchers and the feelers, to give you, there's so many, what was I going to say? It's been established that I have either one kind of cylindrical portal or two separate portals in my house, which I think kind of were put there maybe by me or activated by me, just being who I am. Because in previous years, my parents really didn't, experience much. I was born, boom, all of a sudden, I start getting, activity, which sometimes happens. It's amazing when you figure these things out. How, because usually, it's like, oh, I'm just an average Joe. Well, people don't realize how much they attract certain things. Actually, for a little while, my daughter was attracting a 12-year-old spirit to the house. Don't know who she is, but every time my daughter came over, she would be here. And was it one of my ex-girlfriends actually saw her, actually woke up to her, wow. being at the edge of the bed. Not my daughter, the spirit. So she's like, okay, that's freaky. I'm like, well, it kind of comes with the territory, So I mean, just for whatever reason, these manifested, and unfortunately, various things come through it. It's not, it's not all negative, not all positive, but it kind of happened, it kind of, how can I put it? Like on bad days, I'll have more negative stuff come through. You know, when I'm not feeling well, that's why I also try to keep myself, you know, in a state. I really don't have room to relax.
Right.
You know, because, you know, and one of the rooms is actually, you know, was my bedroom. So that's what inspired all those nice little wonderful things to fly all around me, you know, and all that stuff. And, you know, but technically, you know, there's, even if, you know, besides those two spots, there's, my whole house just seems to, you know, have activity at you know, different points of the day and night. So, you know, there's no really, you know, which also wears on somebody too, because, you know, usually the house is, you know, your safe haven where you go to relax, take it easy. You know, I don't really get that option, and you know, it's been kind of weighing on me a little bit more during the winter as well. You know, like, as we were saying before the show, you know, about seasonal depression. I thought I had seasonal depression, but then I realized, you know, that whole you know, the veil is thinning idea. You know, where during the winter, you know, the air is thinner. You know, energy is more transmittable and you know, between spaces at a quicker rate.
Right. Absolutely.
So you know, so that's where that came into, and I'm like, well, there you go. All right. So you know, it's you know, like I've said probably like 5 times already. It's really a learning experience. You know, who would have known? You know, if you don't find these things out, you would have never known. I would have never known about this stuff. So you know, it's very interesting. You know, I'm still learning, you know, unfortunately, because, well, not unfortunately, but very fortunately, just unfortunate that it has to be in my house.
Right.
Because, like, okay,
right.
You know, because, I mean, I don't just see, you know, I don't just experience, you know, humans. I experience things of, I mean, and I'm going to sound way out there now, but whatever. There's been interplanetary sort of things, things that have never been human, you know, but they take human form. It's just all crazy. it's very, very crazy. You know, I've had, now where I'm at, you know, there used to be a lot of Indian activity, so I do see animal spirits, you know, which to the average person would be very frightening, but you get to, you know, you get to learn what they're about, because you know, even though their looks might be kind of interesting, let me put it that way, you know, their intent speaks differently. You know, so you know, one time I encountered in my house I would have to say about almost a 6.5, 7 foot ram.
Wow.
It was human form with the ram's head. But you know, and I've said this a few times before. The funniest thing is most people be like, that's a demon, you know, and I'm like, no, you know, and I don't use, you know, I don't use the D word too much. Even the most negative things I've experienced were not demons.
Right.
They're just jerks of the other world. You know, so.
Well, and then there's also the theory too that, you know, many of these entities can project themselves however they want to be seen.
Oh, definitely. It's, you know, they're not too far. They're not far off at all from human. You know, there's human spirits that project themselves as, you know, a severely negative or, you know, I hate saying it, but demonic sort of entity.
Right.
You know, and the whole thing is that one thing, the universal truth, you know, from what I gather from my own experience, is that you can't lie about your intent.
Right.
You know, if you're trying to cover up something for some reason, you know, me and other people, you know, that I've seen that kind of share, you know, the same sort of, you know, gifts, which everybody has a gift. You know, it's the way it, you know, most people are like, oh, well, you know, psychics are fake, you know, this stuff is fake. No, everybody is born with these gifts. It's just whether you choose to develop them or not.
Right.
Or not. You know, that's the biggest thing. You know, me, I don't really have too much time to develop it, so most of my talents are kind of sound like a like trying to tune into a radio station. You get a lot of fuzz, and you get like that really loud channel, and then you know, you get these other little things. So that's kind of how you know, my gifts kind of work. But
right, and
yeah, but
I would agree with you. I definitely would, because if you look at some of the research that's been done into parapsychology, and like some of the stuff going on with the Ryan Research Center and Atlantic University, some of these places, that it definitely supports exactly what you're saying, that people have these gifts. If they develop them, then it's I've used the analogy in conversations before of it being like like someone who plays baseball. There's some of us that we may be, it may be an accomplishment for us to get it from where we're standing to out to second base, but to someone else, they're born naturally with that ability to be able to just take it and go through to the pro leagues.
No, exactly. And that's what it is. And it's not easy, which is, I mean, if it was that easy, I would have been like, yes, I'm well renowned, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But even still, the whole thing is that it does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of meditation. There's actually there's programs that I could actually attend for this stuff that kind of teach you how to project yourself in that amount, which I kind of know how to do. It's still kind of fuzzy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But I could hone in on these things. But the whole thing is, it takes a lot of meditation. It takes a lot of, I don't know if I'm kind of ready to project myself that much. I projected myself very far. But the whole thing is that was a one-shot deal for me. I don't know if I could do it again. You have to be in the right state of mind and all that stuff. But it's very interesting when you do find out that you have these abilities in you. Because, not saying and I can understand where people are coming from, where they say psychics are fake. A lot of people out there. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, celebrities or anything like that. But the whole thing is that, a gift is a gift, and most people, even most people on that one say, oh, well, they're charged for that stuff. Well, they're charging for their abilities. You have no idea what happens after you leave. They say bye-bye to you. They have to cleanse themselves. They have to make, kind of get your gunk off them, and all that stuff. It's not like, it's not something where it's just like, oh, well, I'm picturing in my head, there's a difference. There's always, the good and the bad and everything. And the whole thing is that it is actually a real, true, there's different variations of real, true ability.
Right.
So I mean, the most common word for it is gut feeling and intuition. Mm-hmm. That's your first and foremost ability right there. It's like, when somebody says, I had a feeling about that, you're darn right you did. That's your intuition. That's your natural psychic ability extending itself and saying, hey, you know what, something might be going on. So,
that,
it's
and I've talked to a lot of people who have mentioned people that don't realize that they have these abilities, that they just see it as they'll refer to it as being a good judge of character, or different phrases like that. They know that they can sense certain things, but they never entertain the thought that that they might have some type of ability outside of normal sensory perception. And and that's one thing that I've heard so many people with abilities have said, is to always trust those abilities, trust those intuitions. And I'm learning that myself personally, that, like if you get a certain type of vibe or a certain type of feeling about a person, usually it's right.
Oh, definitely.
And it's just, it's a hard thing, though, learning to trust them. It really is.
Well, unfortunately, the reason why it is hard for a lot of people is because, and I experienced the same thing. There is self-doubt. Is this really what I'm feeling? Me, I have a very logical brain, so, and that kind of conflicts with, the abilities that I have, because it's like, is this what I'm really thinking? Is this what's going on? And I have to, the biggest thing is just breathe in, breathe out, trust yourself, and that, that in itself takes a lot of work. Nobody, it's a very big preparation to do this, and you're also dealing with the confines of flesh. You're using your spiritual form in a flesh covered, in a flesh covering.
Right.
Your physical body has limitations. So to pull these things, to pull some of these things off, it does get very tiring. It does get very, you get worn out. And that's one of my biggest things. That's why I don't really pursue more, because I'm kind of more in the protection factor. Because my personal experience is, because unfortunately there's a ton of negative stuff on this planet. Besides, they all differentiate in frequencies. But there's a whole messed up world. Where there's constant influence of the living, constant influence of spiritual things. They don't just, and I'm not talking about demons. There's different levels. Demons are the absolute worst. Because you got to look at it at the hierarchy in kind of like a business sense. That's the best way I could put it. You have you have the highest amount of negativity. You have the highest amount of positivity. The CEO of all things that are bad is not going to come down and talk to a little guy, So you got these different variations of negative spirits, and the whole thing is that they work in different different realms. There is a multifaceted, multidimensional, energy on this earth. Where you got the living, and then it's completely weird. I don't really get too much how they coexist, where it's like, but to put it, I try to keep it in just terms of negativity and positivity, where, it's just, okay, there's that level of that, and there's that level of that, because it's just, there's only so much that your brain could kind of, go. You can push your brain only so far. As to trying to figure this stuff out, and without really any solid proof. It's not like I could say, well, this is definite, this is not definite. These are just all from feelings, that I've had, that that I experienced. So and it's kind of cool, in one sense, because I am able to help people out with those abilities. So I'm all for, if it helps you out, I'm definitely gonna use it. So but it's just an amazing thing.
Absolutely, and it seems to me like the most difficult part of learning to enhance those abilities and further develop them would be learning how to protect yourself and how to block certain things out, and that would seem to me like it would be the hardest, and just being able to turn it off when you need to. Am I close to right on that?
No, you're definitely right. That, because that's what I experienced. That's what I'm experiencing right now. I haven't really made it known on my Facebook page, but unfortunately my health is not too good at this point, because it just, you get so involved with the living physical factor, that and it happens to everybody, I guess. For me, I have to worry about the spiritual and the living factor, because when I don't, because now that I know what happens when I don't take care of that spiritual manner, it could affect my physical.
Absolutely.
To a very, unfortunately, too much of a degree. I don't get too much into it, but and I'm not talking about possession. I'm not talking about any sort of exorcist kind of stuff. I'm talking about like the energy is being drained from coming in contact with too much, to the point where your body starts suffering like it's like real illnesses. It's kind of freaky stuff, because you don't realize it, and it's just something that you have to, it's like a new way to take care of yourself, I guess, in a sense, or, if you find out one day from the doctor you have high blood pressure, then you need to go on on a certain medication for that, and then after that you have to take care of it, now that you're aware of it. That's the same thing as, kind of what I experience. And, unfortunately, I do pay for it when I don't keep up on protecting myself, because, my body starts killing me. I mean, I'm a lot better than I was, but, and it's kind of embarrassing, too. Nobody really wants to admit, that, they're sick in general. I had to prepare a little bit extra, for tonight, just to kind of not sound like a zombie that I'm about to, pass out on you or anything.
Right.
I was like, oh no, that's tonight. I gotta go. I gotta do what I gotta do. So I mean, but the best thing to do is definitely, I definitely agree with you, and it's definitely true what you're saying about protecting first, because when you're sending a signal out there, everybody's gonna listen to it. I mean, it varies in the sense, of what you kind of want to invoke, or the message that you want to put out. But the whole thing is that, you always try to keep on a higher frequency, because that's where you're not going to get so hurt, and, not so much bad things can see you and be able to, get to you. But, the whole thing is that they still try to wear you down, because that's unfortunately what the negative aspect of that realm kind of operates at. Oh, let's, bring them down. That's why you'll see them more around, people that have, any sort of illness or sickness, any kind of addiction problem, stuff like that. They just swamp on them to keep, and that's the whole thing, once you're able to kind of like feel them, you could kind of like see them, like, or at least imagine what it looks like through, kind of using, I guess, your heart, your heart's picture, I guess, or,
Right, or mind's eye type illustration.
Yeah, that kind of, exactly that. And it's weird to see how people are affected and just feeling the energies drawn. Like most people just take off their work clothes, and that's it. Every day I have to take off my work clothes, and then I have to try to get over everybody that I experienced, everything that I experienced on the, it really gets to be a lot. But I do try to do my best. Like I said, I'm a summer person too, because, it gives me a little bit of a chance, with the warm weather, your body's not kind of hurting as much, where you're able to not be fed on as much either. Now it's not necessarily, any spirit or energy, kind of uses your energy as it is. They don't mean to. It's just that's how they manifest. That's how they're able to do their thing, and kind of keep their own stuff going. Because all we're just encapsulating this energy. When our spirit kind of not that way. What am I saying? When we pass away, that energy disperses back into everything else. So it's kind of like, this imaginary, telephone kind of system where, they're able to go and, anywhere. And this is not just an Earth thing. This is, an interplanetary thing, where they're able to travel through, these energy tunnels, and not necessarily portals, but like just kind of like going from one energy source to the next, to get where they need to go. It's such a ridiculously huge subject. Like I could never absolutely cover it. But yeah, these are one of those few reasons why I got into the paranormal field. Because it's just undeniable. Most people are skeptics. I wish I had the luxury. I forgot who I talked to. I talked to quite a few people about this. They said, "Well, weren't you ever a skeptic?" I'm like, I didn't have the option to be. I didn't have 1 minute that I could recall in my life that I was not affected by the paranormal. And I told them, they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, the first apparition I ever saw was at 3 years old, sleeping in my parents' bed, with my mother cradling me, and, and that's really my first memory ever. I mean, going back to the age of 3 is pretty far. I mean, those 3 years kind of don't seem, really that much important, but I'm sure there was stuff happening then too. One of the things that my parents told me was that I used to get visited by my great-grandparents a lot. So, I mean, obviously, I guess before my memory, there was other events that happened, but it's really interesting when you sometimes, most people say they want to see things. Oh, yeah, I really want to see something. I really want to see something.
Right.
The opposite spectrum is like, well, I'd really like to not be bothered one day by anything. That'd be great. And it's not I guess it's not too bad. It just takes a lot out of you, constantly.
I can imagine. And I've got a question from the chat there from King, who is asking if you ever reach out to others, like other teams or other individuals, for help in any of the cases that your team investigates.
Well, we do actually. I believe in February, or either January or February, we are going to be working with another team. We always have that living factor to kind of be careful about when we're investigating outside places and whatnot. Unfortunately, on Long Island, there's a lot of state-owned things. Mm-hmm. Like you got the state hospitals. I mean, it's an amazing. If there was not so much red tape, we would be all over this island like white on rice. It's ridiculous. Right. We have three. We had four of them, but I only can remember 3 right now. But yeah, we have 4, but I can mention 3 of them right now because that's all I remember. We have Kings Park Psychiatric Facility. We have the Central Islip Psychiatric Facility. We have, and this is just on an island, like on Long Island. It's ridiculous. We have 4 major powerhouse psychiatric facilities, which held, thousands of people. There was abuse. There was a lot of naughty stuff, to put it very extremely lightly, that happened there that are not in the books anywhere.
Right. Of course, you being on Long Island, I've got to ask if you've ever visited 112 Ocean Avenue.
I knew you were going to ask that. I'm not going to say. Let me put it to you this way: I'm not saying that I've ever visited there, but I live 1.6 miles away from it. So yeah.
You get to do a drive-by anyway.
I could literally be on the phone with you right now and take a picture and upload it to you. I'm just so.
Right.
Yeah, it's extremely close to me, and I think not saying that plays a part in the activity that I experience. It's more of an Indian kind of thing, mostly around me and in the areas. About 3 to 4 miles away is C.A.S.P.I.R, where one of the biggest Indian settler massacres happened on the island. Most people hear about the Amityville Horror House, but not a lot of people, or I shouldn't really assume that, but most people don't really hear about the C.A.S.P.I.R poltergeist,
right,
which is a very interesting case in itself too. Mm-hmm. And between C.A.S.P.I.R and Amityville is C.A.S.P.I.R, where the C.A.S.P.I.R Reserves is, and was the site of that big massacre. So I kind of look at that as very interesting in itself. Plus, you have places like Lake Ronkonkoma, where it's kind of crazy the amount of activity we have on the island over here. Just for a small speck in the right next to New York. We got all this stuff, mm-hmm. and it's been brought up too. Well, you're surrounded by water. That could be very well much it too. Another point. As well. Why are there so many? How can I put it? There seems to be a lot of people with abilities, not like tons of them, but a lot of people that I know that actually are empathic, do have, whether they know it or not, they do have a little bit more of ability than most people, and I do think, like in a sense where we physically adapt to situations and locations, we also spiritually adapt to locations too. So I think that's kind of an interesting realm of area to kind of explore too. Because what island? I mean, I don't know the exact dimensions of the island, but for 4 psychiatric facilities to be, I mean, pretty much on the island.
Right.
That's got to say something. I mean, and we're not even talking about the city, where you got we had other places. I mean, we've had Typhoid Mary here and
Right.
all that story and stuff, and it's been a very active location. And I don't know why exactly, but it's because there's just layers of history. I mean, mostly I get Indian, but there had to be something leading up to the Indians. There had to be something, leading up to before the Indians that I mean, there's only so much historically you could go back before, there's the question mark as, okay, what happened before that, so.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very interesting. It's a very interesting area to live in.
Right. There's so much history there because, like you'd mentioned, there's not only the Native American history, but you have Revolutionary War. You've got, I mean, every war has had some type of impact on the area. There's history from the settlements. It's one of the original colonies, or close to one of the original colonies, and I mean, there's just a massive amount of history tied there. And you brought up a very good point about wondering what happened before the Indians were there. And there's so many. If you look through history, there are so many different theories as to who actually settled that area first. And there's indications that it might have been the Welsh, that it might have been the Nords. That, I mean, it's there's a lot of mysteries to it, and in a lot of ways, I believe our history books are wrong.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's only so much that you could kind of not guess at, but guess, I guess you could say, as to how these things happen. Now, I kind of take it from a physical standpoint and also a spiritual standpoint, where it's like, people didn't just live there. They breathed there. They felt passion there. They died there. And that all leaves imprints, spiritual imprints and imprints on that location. Now, and that's why it's so hard to read sometimes, because you have all these different pieces of history in a certain, it could be in a literally 1 block radius.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just layers upon layers of, which is why, I mean, do we mistaken, different dimensions for just, layers of history, or what, pretty much what we identify is it human or not human? But the whole thing is, are these non-human things that used to be here that we don't recognize because that was before our time, where we could actually say, okay, that is human. Pretty much before humankind, there was just the dinosaurs. I'm sure there was a lot of, there's a lot of different scenarios that could have went in there as to what happened before the dinosaurs and even after the dinosaurs. All we're doing is saying, okay, this happened because it's carbon dated. But, there's spiritual dating too. And that's another weird thing too. I've never actually seen a dinosaur. So I don't know. I mean, are they too? It's crazy because you could really spin your gears about all this stuff. Well, is it just too big and too translucent to imagine, or is it that we don't connect on a certain thing because it's more primal than a human emotion? It's amazing with all the different kind of things that you get into with this field, and that's one of the things that I love about it too, because it kind of I'm kind of already in that mindset as it is. It gives me a chance to really wind my gears about certain things. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And so I have to ask, what so how did how did LIGHTS Paranormal actually get founded? What what kind of pushed you over that edge and said, you know what, I'm going to start a team?
It was more the decision where, you know, it's not really a 2-second answer. Unfortunately, it's you know, that this is 34, almost 35 years in the making. You know, after a lot of things went into it, you know, the fact that, you know, that I was able to kind of get a handle on what I'm dealing with to get to the point where I could help somebody else, where I understand enough, you know, honestly and truthfully. It's a lot of soul searching too. It's not just, you know, oh, I'm just going to, you know, go hunt ghosts. You got to understand, you know, it's kind of like, you know, National Geographic, but on a different realm. You know, what is this? What is this truly? What is it you know, showing to me? What is it actually? You know, what is it actually? You know, it's amazing. You know, just trying to figure all this stuff out too. It was that. Then it's also the fact that you know, it's more accessible these days. You know, I mean, we had people like, you know, like Lorraine and Ed Warren, you know, and, you know, they did their own thing, but you know, really, it really started to kind of become more common, you know, when TV shows came about, and kind of more accepted. You know, I still run into people that, you know, like I said, you know, you're going to think I'm crazy and stuff like that. You know, it's still kind of like, you know, macabre in a sense, where it's like, you know, well, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want people to think we're crazy, but at the same time, you know, everybody could gather around the TV and watch an episode of Ghost Hunters, and, you know, oh yeah, we believe in ghosts. You know, so it's kind of like that 50-50 kind of deal. You know, where I felt comfortable, and it's going to sound really strange, you know, where I felt comfortable coming out about it.
Absolutely.
You know, where I would be taken, you know, seriously enough because the person's perspective has changed. You know what I'm saying? I always kind of knew. I just had to have everybody else kind of catch up to, you know, almost kind of, you know, where I'm at, where this is something that, you know, is possible. Now, I you know, for me, it's not a possibility, it's an actuality, but, you know, in their standpoint, okay, this, you know, this might actually be plausible. So, you know, I had to have, you know, I got that done. I didn't get that done, but I'm running out of breath here because I know I chatter. Which I apologize for.
Oh no, that makes for a good radio guest.
I try to get as many words in as possible within the allotted time. You know, so that was another factor, was I had to kind of wait for other people to become more understanding. You know, there's a lot of you know, and a lot of people that do have abilities kind of went through the same kind of life structure, where it was that self-doubt, and then everybody else doubted them, then everybody else thought they were crazy, then they figured out that they weren't crazy, but everybody else was crazy. You know, and the people that were calling you crazy are actually crazy, so just cancel that whole part out, and then it comes into the awakening stage, where, okay, let's find out why. We've tried... You know, we tried to follow, you know, and it kind of stinks because, you know, parents don't exactly understand why kids are doing things and why kids are seeing things. You know, I could tell you this much: for somebody that's more spiritually aware, you know, the not so nice side of things try to get a hold of you before the positive things do. You know, from my journey so far. You know, and just being who I am, I had to experience a lot of negative stuff to appreciate the positive stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, to get to that point where it's like, I don't want any, you know, and that was just my journey. Not saying that everybody else, you know, should or can experience what I experienced. You know, but, you know, just figuring out my own spiritual journey on this planet, it was necessary evil, I guess you could say, in the sense where it got me to the point where it compels me to help people. I can't just let somebody, you know, oh well, you know, you're not good enough to help, or I'm too good, you know. It's those little factors in life that shape you to be who you are. And you know, when you're experiencing, some pretty terrifying looking stuff even before you knew the concept of what it actually was. You definitely want to let people know about it. Thankfully, now that I've become more aware, it pisses them off, but at the same time, you could protect yourself more from it. And, and also, this is like I said, it was 35 years in the making. A lot of things led me to, to start this, where I could actually actively and honestly, help another human being out while protecting myself. Because, it's kind of like I had to fight my own to get to the point where I could help other people fight their own or help them out. Which I've had amazing experiences. And in actuality, sometimes, not really jealousy, but I'm kind of envious in the fact that, I come in contact with a lot of people's loved ones. And I kind of, I experience some of that sometimes too, but it's very random. Like I've experienced my father, I've experienced both my grandparents, just stuff like that. But, what my controlled tune is, I guess you could say, what I constantly, level off at, I guess, at a normal standpoint without, trying to boost my vibration or lower my vibration. It's kind of a little under, par, I guess, in comparison to most people. Not saying that I'm a negative person. It's just that, it's kind of what just I was meant to experience.
Right.
For my life experiences, which, like I said, it's a pain in the butt, but at the same point, it does have meaning to it, and it's a great feeling to get to know that meaning.
Right. And the thing about it, though, is by you going through those negative experiences, it sets you up to the point that you're able to help other people who are going through similar negative experiences a lot more efficiently than someone who can't relate to it, who hasn't been there. So,
yeah.
So I can see where it would be
exactly.
really effective.
Well, at one point, I don't know, like I said, it stinks, but it's, nobody really wants to go through a whole ton of stuff, but you know what, that when you look at it from, I guess, a more positive point of view, it's life points, it's life
Right.
experiences, it's tools. I was given, I was given all these tools for a reason, and it kind of clicked, more recently, where I was able to kind of really get a grip on myself, because I would have done it sooner, but excuse me, I would have done it a lot sooner, but unfortunately I wasn't physically, I wasn't physically well, and I really had to kind of learn that one last key point of protection, because nobody knows it's not like it's somebody in your face, physically doing this stuff. This is stuff that, some stuff that I did know about, some stuff that I didn't know about. And, it was, I'm not trying to, talk in circles or whatever, but, it was really affecting to that point where I couldn't even done anything until recently, to form an actual group, to be strong enough, not for just myself, but for my group too, because I don't want to put them in danger. Because, that's why I don't really do, that's why I was kind of apprehensive about doing things with other groups too, because I don't know where they're at, with spiritual stability. I know how to protect myself, but at the same time, my group, I try to protect my group too. I try to extend myself, into them and through them to do the best that they could do without being affected, with anything going home or anything. So, but the whole thing is doing these massive, I see some people doing massive events. I'm like, that's just too much for me to handle. I'm strong now, but I got a long ways to go too.
Right.
Where I'm able to protect that kind of group. Because it's not just a it's very, there's so much going on that the eyes don't see.
I agree.
But and when you feel it, it's just, it's very hard it's very hard to ignore. So I just try to, I don't try to put people into situations where something's going to happen to them. I don't even come close to it. One of the reasons why we are doing this group is because they seem to be in the right, right state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
They're in it for the right reasons. I don't see the worst kind of, I guess, not fear, but the worst case scenario that I kind of am concerned about is, and I'm not trying to throw, again, celebrities under the bridge or under the bus or anything, but I don't need my group being exposed to something negative that was attracted by another person.
Right.
I don't want their mistakes to become my mistakes, because it's not, I'm very responsible with this stuff. We go in, we collect data, I treat everything that I come in contact with, with respect, because whether human or not, just because they're not, necessarily, something that we're accustomed to, doesn't mean that they don't deserve respect.
Right.
So, I try to, just keep a field of protection around everything. And if somebody's gonna really come in and kind of induce negativity, that's not something I would really like to be a part of. Because, they might feel a little bit, I've seen some groups come home with scratches on them. Now, I've been scratched. I've had that happen to me. Not actually any investigations, just kind of sitting at a restaurant one time. I had 2 scratches, just burning sensation. And, just came out of nowhere. I've been scratched. I've been hit. I've actually had blood drawn on me a couple of times. It's not really something that I want people to experience just to say, hey, look, I got proof of something. You can get proof other ways. We're pretty lucky where they kind of want to talk to us and not, we don't really have to do anything, that extreme about it.
Right. And I also agree with, absolutely 100% with what you're saying about you being the founder, you're the leader of the team, and you feeling that certain amount of responsibility to look out for their safety. I agree with that 100%, because with me and my team, I feel that it's the same way for me. I feel that it's my responsibility to look at the location, to look at what hazards may be there, whether it's something that, whether it's a physical danger or something else. But I feel like the whole team's safety is my responsibility. And
no, definitely.
I think that that's something that you've got to look at. And I agree with you 100% on that.
It's just what's responsible. It's, if we're all eager to, get the evidence that we want, to collect the data that we want, to experience stuff, but it's not worth anybody's spiritual health. I've seen a couple of groups out there that were, I don't remember exactly what happened, but somebody was being possessed, and they were literally crying for help about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my heart went out to them, because it's like, I don't know how to help you to that extent, and nobody can help you to that extent except for, a professional, and when a professional has to be called in, even that's a drawn-out process, because you have to prove that you're a certain way, and you're in that bad of a state. It's not as TV portrays, where it's like, okay, well, we're just, they have the luxury of having these people, and this technology at their fingertips. Most groups don't. Some do, but for at least for me in my group, we don't have someone that's really heavily into demonology, and it has nothing to do with demons, obviously. It just has to do with, study of things that are not human, of negative nature. So I just don't even feel like even getting even close to having an experience like that, it's not a fun feeling.
Now I will say, kind of adding to something that you had said earlier about some of the experiences that you go through it, and this may be a little more on the philosophical side, but
Sure.
but I'm a firm believer. I believe this 100%. Just as much as I believe the Earth is round, the sun is the center of our galaxy. I believe this to be true, and that is that certain things happen for a reason, and we experience a lot of negative things throughout our lives. But I believe that ultimately those negative things, we should appreciate them, and
Oh, definitely.
and look, be able to move past those, count those as learning experiences, because those help us. By going through those bad experiences, those are what teach us how we can help others, how we can improve ourselves, what puts us in the place we need to be in to basically be the best person that we can be. And especially true when you're helping other people. If you can relate to a
Definitely.
negative experience, then you can help better than anyone to someone who is going through a similar experience to what you've been through, much better than someone who can't relate at all. So,
Oh, definitely.
and I believe that in life, just as well as in the paranormal field, we never stop learning.
Oh, definitely. In any journey, whether it be physical, spiritual, or anything, the best. We're all searching for whys. Why is this happening? Why did this happen? And one of the great things that has come out of this for me so far is that some of the through learning and just exploring myself, exploring the resources around me through other people's experiences, through their lives, more and more of those whys are being answered, and that's the best part, because for me it was not knowing, to wanting to know why, to kind of finding out the answers, and it nothing feels as better, and nothing puts you at peace more than knowing, okay, this is what's going on, this is why this is happening, there's there's a lot of people they'll say, oh, well, it's a constant thing, but what, at least you know what's right because of what you feel in your heart. If something clicks, if something really makes sense to you on a deep level, then that's a personal that's a personal lesson for you. Not everybody's going to get that, but if it hits that hard for you, or it makes that much sense, then you know what, that's what was meant for you to learn. So it's been a roller coaster, but a good one.
Right,
So,
absolutely. And
sorry.
I was just going to say, with Christmas coming up, we've got so many people that we talk to who, Christmas time is such a strange season. It really is. There's there's so many different things going on this time of year. You've got you have the winter solstice coming up right within a few days of Christmas. Then you have Christmas itself that is celebrated, with its, of course, the Christmas holiday having its Christian origins, and you have the Yule holiday with it having some of its origins from some of the other beliefs, and you've got and I'm far from an expert on this, but there's several different religions that converge all around the same holiday, and
Definitely.
and then even in the, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Orthodox Greek beliefs, they celebrated Christmas on January the 4th versus December 25th, because, with Christmas it was birth of Christ, and they celebrated it on January the 4th, calling it the Day of Epiphany, believing that was when the wise men actually found where Christ was. But you have all these religions converging. There's the winter solstice. There's, the air is thinner. The colder weather affects the geomagnetic fields. It affects the actual traits of the, of the ionosphere, of just all elements of our environment. The ions in our atmosphere become more positively charged. They store more energy. There's cases like we were talking about with the seasonal depression, and there are a lot of people. A lot of people go through breakups right before Christmas. They stay depressed. Some people start. There's people who have suicides. There's some of the negative things that happen. Then there's a lot of positive things, and all of these things all run together. So it makes sense for it to be more active this time of year.
It's definitely a charged time. This is not just this year; it's every year. People tend to see more relatives, living and deceased. Already I've seen. I know this is going to sound silly, but I've seen my dog that passed away about God knows how long. Just showed up the other day. I'm like, really? I'm like, where have you been? Right. For me, I've already experienced my grandmother on my father's side. She came and visited about a day or two ago too. And just quick. They're not like instances where you sit down, have coffee and cake, and talk about things, that have happened since the life. It's just very instant. Like, I'm here. I want you to know that I'm here, and that's just so that's mostly what I get. It's just just instances like that. Some are more drawn out. Where I actually hear more of his history at times. And other things, but getting back to the point, it's definitely a time where people experience more because everything's coming together. And I also think it has to do with people's energies too. Like you said, some people get depressed during the holidays, some people get are happy during the holidays, and just this in their own elements, they take care of invoking that sort of energy into the air. It's reminders of a lot of things, and when there's reminders, when we're thoughtful and aware, and what am I trying to say? Not in what's the word for it? Darn it. When we acknowledge these feelings and and it could be anything from man, I wish I miss this person, I miss that person. We're actually acknowledging their presence and kind of drawing them close to us.
Right.
So people usually during this time of year, I hear people saying a lot about how they're seeing their relatives in just a grander sense. Where they're seeing their sons that passed away, they're seeing their, relatives in general, and it's definitely a very interesting time of the year.
Well, I was researching some Christmas traditions and superstitions, and one thing about it, and this is to a lot of normal people, probably anyone who's tuned into this show is not going to think that this is in any way unusual, but I love watching horror movies, and kind of something that we always do is around Christmas, me and my daughters will watch a couple of the Christmas horror movies, And
Nice.
it's, you know, people talk about how strange, how crazy that is for it to have a Christmas horror movie. But,
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
well, you know, something that I found in doing some research on it is a tradition that dated back all the way to the Victorian era was for people to tell ghost stories on Christmas Eve. After they had Christmas dinner, they would get around the fire. They would they would see who could come up with the scariest story and basically scare the crap out of each other, then go rush to bed. And that was what inspired Charles Dickens to write A Christmas Carol. And if you think of it, look at how many ghosts appear in the in A Christmas Carol. There's more ghosts that appear in that Christmas story than most of your horror movies that are on TV.
Oh, definitely.
And so in a way, you know, that now people don't really look at it, but the telling of ghost stories, the horror movies, all of that is kind of keeping up with that tradition. So, and that's one that I personally enjoy.
And you know, the interesting part is that, you know, our traditions, you know, and major holidays all stemmed back to, you know, a time where it wasn't about you know, Santa Claus. It was about Saint Nicholas. It wasn't about, you know, and some traditions are very different too. In Europe, they celebrate actually on the 5th, I believe. I'm not too sure, but I believe on the 5th of December they celebrate Krampus, which is the antithesis of Santa Claus, where if there's any child that's been bad, you know, it's not as, you know, holly and jolly as it's you know, been in, you know, recent years. You know, right. it does stem back to very, very dark and you know, pretty much, you know, your kids are going to be good because, you know, we need to do what we got to do and just stuff like that. You know, it's very interesting to actually take a look at how these traditions have changed over the years and actually become more diluted. You know, for whatever reason. I mean, I could totally understand Krampus. You know, actually, I mean, there's been moments where I've seen kind of Krampuses, not during Christmas, but you know, so I mean, it wouldn't really frighten me too much. You know, I mean, I can understand a child. You know, I try to be a little bit more giving than what's been given to me. He was like, yeah, you know what, you know, yeah, I've seen it, but you don't necessarily need to see that. You know, so but it's amazing to see these histories. Even you know, Halloween, Sam Hain. You know, the whole you know, Wiccan and pagan aspect of it. You know, and you know, I'm kind of a sucker for tradition where it's like, you know, I'm not really about the Santa Claus as much as what happened before Santa Claus. You know, Saint Nicholas. That story, you know, the story of Saint Nicholas intrigues me more. You know, because it's like, you know, he was kind of, you know, dulled down over the years, but the actual person himself was a very noble man. You know, he was kind of a, you know, a Robin Hood. You know, where he didn't steal from the rich or anything. But, you know, he was I believe he was, you know, a decently wealthy man, and he gave to people that were less fortunate than him. And that's the real reason, you know, and I believe that original concept should be emanated these days, especially in these times that we're facing. You know, that, you know, yeah, it's about giving. It's not about getting. You know, I kind of perceive Santa Claus as the getting, you know, aspect of the holiday, where, you know, Saint Nicholas was the giving part. You know, and that's what I try to, kind of keep in my own, you know, little area of the world here. You know, whereas, you know, giving back, you know, to people that have helped you. You know, I mean, you know, nobody's perfect, but this is, you know, a great time of year, you know, to be reminded that, hey, you know, give back to where it's due, you know, and then the people that have supported you and helped you, you know. So I try to, you know, that part of the holidays intrigues me the most.
And that's that's what it's all about. And people talk about the Christmas spirit, but if you look at it, in most cases, it does. It brings out the best in people.
Oh, definitely. And I could definitely tell people who have been more in the spirit starting since yesterday.
Right.
Because you know, and this is another wonderful aspect of not realizing what's going on by you, but you being affected by it in a different sense. For some reason, I've had nonstop, you know, and you know, what makes it even more interesting is that I'm not me personally, I'm not, you know, I'm trying to be in the Christmas spirit. For me, it's just one day draws into another, and then, you know, hey, I gotta, like, you know, realize that, you know, I'm kind of more the person I just do, you know, you know, like I do realize it's very intricate. I'm trying to explain this to you in a short amount of time.
Right.
But you know, I started hearing Christmas carols nonstop playing in my head, and I'm like, okay, you know. And when you realize the significance of it, you know, it kind of puts you into the spirit too, without, you know, necessarily being in it. You know, one of the things, unfortunately, with being an empath is you don't really have a lot of personal space in your mind as well, where, you know, you're constantly feeling and experiencing other people's you know, emotions kind of before your own. So it was just one of those moments, and you know, it put a smile on my face because I didn't even realize it, but I started, you know, humming, you know, because it was stuck in my, you know, it was and I started hearing them, and you know, I know it sounds crazy, you know, maybe to some people they'll be like, okay, this guy's a raving lunatic, but you know, the whole thing is that I understand why these things are happening, and you know, you really have to have an open mind for this stuff, you know, in order to fully appreciate it, you know. So that it was a very, very cool experience to know that people are getting on the page, you know, because people's lives are very busy. Right. You know, and although we try to, like, kind of, you know, I believe more these people kind of push themselves to be more in the spirit than to actually naturally that it happened to them. You know, just life gets in the way of living in every aspect, unfortunately. And you know, so it was kind of nice to start hearing, you know, Christmas carols, because, you know, that means that people are getting in the spirit, you know, at least close to me. I don't know how far that extends, or, you know, or where it extends to, but, you know, just in my locale, you know, people are getting more in the spirit, and that was the signification of you know, people getting into that spirit. So it kind of got me into the spirit too a little bit, you know, because I've been, it's the most wonderful, you know. Like, wait a minute. All right, wait a minute. Why is this song in my? Oh, okay, that's why. You know, so it's very interesting.
That yeah, but that's very true though. And I wrote down a few of the superstitions that I came across, and I've got one that's so bizarre I've got to share this with everyone.
Gotta share it.
Yes, it's one of them dates back to now this goes back to around the Victorian era, and according to this legend, if you were born on Christmas, you cannot die by drowning or hanging.
That's awesome.
So,
I mean, that's a perk for somebody out there. I know that for sure. You know, so
right. I'm curious how they did the research on that particular one. But now, one that kind of intrigues me a little is, it says if you were born on Christmas, you're more prone to seeing the dead. It says that some versions say the dead will never bother you if you're born on this day. So, you know, it's kind of either you're more prone to seeing them, or you'll never have them bother you. So,
that is definitely an interesting, that's the funny thing about superstitions. You know, somebody had to think of it first. Why did they think of it first? You know, and that's the real question is how did that, you know, not necessarily the superstition itself, but how did that person come to that conclusion? Right. Like you said, what research did they do? What, you know, did they take like a census? Okay, you were born on the 25th. Did you experience anything? Yes, no. And then, you know, divide it into a 50-50 kind of deal. You know?
Right.
So,
And well, now there are a few people you can ask. I I was looking it up, and people born on Christmas Day. Okay, and this is kind of funny. My youngest daughter, her birthday is Christmas Eve, so I've always teased her about
Nice.
being my Christmas present. But
Aw.
um, some people that were born on December 25th, W.C. Field was born on December 25th, 1946. Here's Charles Chaplin, 1889, December 25th.
Wow.
Then we have Princess Alexandra, 1936, Christmas Day. Paul Bourget, 1935. One of the, and probably the most interesting person on that list, at least for me, Alice Cooper. Born 1945, December 25th.
So we got a very interesting array of people. You got a comedian, you got royalty, and you got a rock and roller. So
Right. So
which is living proof that you need everything to make the world go round.
right, and we know Alice Cooper hasn't drowned. He hasn't been hanged, and with him in the years that he was first starting his career, that's kind of a miracle that never happened. But they but yeah, he might be one to ask about that if he sees more or sees none.
I would think that Alice Cooper would be definitely a keen person to ask.
Right.
I feel like he would have a very, despite the makeup and the whole rock thing. He's a very intellectual
Yes.
person. So and that's the cool part about it. When somebody, even though he has that facade of rock and roll and just stuff like that, he's a very deep feeling intellectual person, and that would definitely be a great person to talk to about metaphysical kind of things.
Yes.
I'm sure you'd have a lot of interesting things to say.
Right. Well, and there's no way that you could have a conversation with Alice Cooper and it not be interesting. I mean, it's just.
Oh, that's true. It's a gift that keeps on giving,
Right. So, and I looked up a few people that died on December 25th that were famous. Conrad Hilton, he died in 1979. Isaac Newton died 1727 on December the 25th. Dorothy Wordsworth, she died 1855. And another famous one, Humphrey Bogart, 1957.
Wow.
So that was just something that I found that was interesting, was that little list.
Definitely. I mean, just for the simple aspect that, you could just imagine what it would feel like. I mean, not just for the person, but for the entire families that they lost somebody, that was close to them on such an important day.
Right.
So I mean, I lost my father on Valentine's Day. That kind of changed. I mean, I've never been lucky in love, but that just kind of makes it kind of worse for me.
Right. Right.
So it's like, never gonna look at this holiday the same way. So it's pretty interesting. Which is actually, not only is it Valentine's Day, my birthday is the day beforehand. So it's like, yeah, it kind of weighs on that too. It's like, hey, guess what happens tomorrow? Yeah, if all the candles are blown, yeah. But the weird part about it, well, not really weird, but I've never handled deaths, typically where, I ever kind of mourned. I missed the physical factor, but my spiritual factor does not feel lost.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, lost. And it, that was another weird experience growing up as a kid, because you see everybody crying around you. And I empathize with them, but for me personally, I wasn't upset, and I thought, I felt there was something wrong with me that I wasn't upset, but it's just it was the whole thing where it's like, well, they're not dead. So how can I feel, I feel bad that I don't see them anymore, but I don't miss them where they're far away, and it's very interesting.
I agree 100%. I can actually relate to that sentiment about, looking at it from the factor of, yes, I'm going to miss this person, but, based on my personal experiences, I don't believe that, when a person dies, that's the end of it. I mean, their spirit goes on. And, I've even made the remark that if anyone cries at my funeral, that, I'm going to personally haunt them. That if they come to the funeral, if they get up to speak, they better at least tell a joke or a funny story first.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another very broad aspect. And it does sound very strange, but for me personally, death is not. I'm not afraid of death, and most people usually are, and it's completely understandable. It's walking into an unknown thing. Are you just dead, or are you just? Do you move on? And I could definitely understand why people have such a fear of it. For me, I've always seen people after they pass. I've seen people that have passed that I've never even known. Right. They're there for a reason. So it's like, why should I be afraid of something that I know? My biggest thing is just to be the best person that I can be, for myself and for everybody else until I get to that point. That's what I'm mostly concerned about. Did I do the best that I could in life? That's my biggest fear. It's not actually the act of dying, because I'm always going to be here for everybody, no matter no matter how long I live. I'm always going to be here. I'm going to be a willing spirit. I'm not necessarily trapped here, but I'm just going to be, continuing what I did in life, and that's trying to help people, be the stepping stone that they need to get to the next level. I hope to be an inspirational spirit.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much my priority when it comes to death. And in fact, a lot of ways I feel like I could help people on a grander scale. And it without sounding, strange again. Sometimes when you realize that, the confines of your own body, in comparison to the abilities of your spiritual nature, sometimes it conflicts a little bit, where it's like, I could do so much more for people if I wasn't trapped in this body, but at the same time you can't physically help people, and that's something that I have to stay grounded about, because and I've been told this by other people too, that knew me, that kind of only know me through acquaintances, that my personal makeup, I'm very torn between this world and the spiritual world, where I constantly have to stay grounded. And it makes a lot of sense to me, because, I just feel like I'm, not necessarily trapped, but just feel like, I could do so much more, as being more of an ominous, more ominous, pure state than, trapped in my physical body, especially with, like we were talking about with the arthritis. And I also have an autoimmune disorder where, I'm very tired a lot, it all weighs on you, and but the will is still there, the spirit still wants you to, set forth as to what you want to, what your purpose is in life, and so that's also a kind of a conflict that I have, in myself, and it's hopefully what I'm saying is not to necessarily be a downer, but hopefully, people could identify with what I'm saying, and hopefully know that they're not alone, because there's tons of people out there like me and like other people that I've met, who share the same abilities, and even if they don't share the same abilities, nobody should ever feel alone in this world. We're all connected together, no matter how far or how close we are together. our physical bodies are just the only separation between us altogether. We're all tied in. That's another purpose of why I do what I do too, because I never want anybody to feel like they're the only ones experiencing this.
Absolutely.
It's kind of a crucial factor for me to let people know that they're not the only ones, and that's one of my purposes, in experiencing what I've experienced. Even though it wasn't the best, the most, a theatrical sense of the spiritual world that you see on TV. It's just great. It's great to be able to help people out and to be as spiritually aware. It's just an added bonus, and I'm very thankful for that. My background is Christian, but I kind of, and it is controversial, when somebody, kind of lets go of their religion, but I let go of religion to embrace spirituality.
Right.
And that makes, and for me, the way I look at it is if you donate your time to one specific thing, you're missing out on identifying and appreciating other pieces that are not in that one genre. You're missing out on them.
Right.
So, I'm more of a spiritual person. I've done Wiccan in my day, and I was pretty darn awesome at it because of my ability, I was able to, not to sound silly, but I was able to kind of enchant items to help people out with, and just knowing that this body has that capability is pretty awesome, and pretty much people take it where they want to go. They can take it to a good place, they could take it to a bad place. Most people look at Wiccans and witches, like, oh, the Halloween sense. No, they're great people. They're very caring people. They just have a different belief. So who am I to say what's right or wrong? Because I believe in everything and nothing at the same time. The body plays tricks on you. These eyes, these physical eyes don't always see everything that's out there. So who am I to judge somebody based on their beliefs because they might see something different? I see a lot of stuff myself, and I can identify with a lot of people. By being more generally open to everything, so I look at it as a tool, not really as a hindrance.
Right. And that, that just goes hand in hand with this time of year because, and this going back to the legends that I was looking up, Christmas has always been a very spiritual holiday. Both from a sense of religions around the world, and many of them because of its, deep spiritual meaning during this time of year. But, there are even legends that, there's one that says if you have evil spirits in your home, that if you open the doors of your house on Christmas Eve at midnight, and that it will let those wild spirits fly out of your house. And there was another one similar to that says that if you leave candles to burn overnight in the window of a house during Christmas, then it was for good luck. It was to attract the good spirits, and that if the candle is blown out in the morning when you check on it, that it was a sign that there were still bad spirits there.
Yeah.
And even the mistletoe, we've all heard of it. There's even one legend that says that if you deny someone a kiss under the mistletoe, that it's bad luck, and that you should not replace that mistletoe until the next year, or you will be prone to have negative spirits follow you for the year.
No, definitely.
So, and a lot of these I'd never heard of. That, when I was doing the research on this, I found it absolutely amazing. Although there is one thing that I want to point out.
Go for it.
And and this is to all of this goes to everybody out there who and we've all used the mistletoe to our favor a few times. I'm guilty. I'll be the first to admit that. But something that something that I had found out was with mistletoe that it that it said how if you use the mistletoe, it's supposed to attract good luck and the kiss and everything. And it's the thing about that particular superstition is that it will only work if the person you are kissing is a virgin.
Huh.
And that goes back to on the 6th day of the new moon, a druid priest would cut mistletoe from an oak tree with the sacred sickle. A passing virgin was called on to catch the falling plant, which was not allowed to touch the ground. And if it touched the ground, it was, of course, bad luck. And that developed from there to the tradition we know now. So yeah, unless you're a virgin, the mistletoe thing's not going to work. So sorry,
well,
guys.
I think most of us are kind of screwed in that sense.
Right. We got to put out the facts here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
I can't participate in that one. Darn it.
Right. And what's sad is I'd already made plans. I had I'd already bought me a whole bouquet of it.
We've placed it in very strategic spots to try to be funny.
Right. I know I'm not the only one here in this broadcast that has not at least once taped it to the back of your pants. I mean, I will admit that.
Oh no, not at all. Nope. Same here. Yeah. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one because I kind of did it reverse a couple of times. But you know what's amazing about these legends is that the key role in it is the intent of the person that's either doing it's what am I trying to say? It's the intent of the person that is upholding these legends, where it's like bad luck is bad intent, good luck is good intent. And what you're setting forth through that action of doing these legends, you're actually bestowing, a goodness or not so goodness on another person or on yourself. Mm-hmm. And and I think that's really the crux of anything, and it all comes back to intent, where you put out what you want to receive back. And even to put it into the Christmas cliche of goodwill towards men and women, and that's the whole thing. You set the intent, you set the chain of events, because it's not just you. Mm-hmm. It's the person that you give it to, and then that person, it sets their intent, and then it allows them to bestow their intent onto another person, and that's how the connection. That's how we're all connected. One person. I'm saying. I mean, this is we're all on just one big network. We're a living network on a living planet in a living universe, and the smallest thing offsets the entire just the entire works.
I agree. I know I speak very I don't know how would I describe it? I don't know if I'm too, thought provoking, or maybe thinking too much into it. But that's kind of my standpoint for this, is that
it all starts with just a little ripple, and then it just wanes out into the bigger picture, and it's very interesting, and just to understand the raw the raw meaning of why these things are there, and it's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. And that is the theme of the season. It's positive. It's doing good for others. It's helping each other. And it doesn't matter which religious background you come from, or if you come from no religion at all.
Oh, exactly.
That is what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. It's setting the intent that you feel in your heart,
Mm-hmm.
and most people are good-hearted, and they you cut out the layers of personal choice, and you get to the core of the spirit of the person, and it's a very beautiful thing to see, and just you don't see. For me, I kind of don't see the physical, kind of thing. I see more of the spiritual sense,
Right.
Of the person. So it's kind of like I'm seeing through them, into what who they are, and and I believe times, times of the year like this, where it's the holidays, people stop seeing the physical so much and start seeing the spiritual, side of nature in itself being, with us or everything that around us, the magical, sense of the season, and that's the best part, because, it's times like this where people, I think, could identify with what we do more, because and I think it's pretty cool, because it's a chance for them to glimpse into things that we already know about, and to just see their eyes, open up and be like, wow, that's pretty awesome. That, I've never experienced that, or I've experienced this before and it's back again. Either way, it's a great feeling to see people reacting to to becoming aware of their surroundings in not just what our eyes see, but more what our heart sees.
Right. And talking about the the spirit of the season, the goodwill, the that mindset. It something else that I found that I found this just amazing. It seemed like I might have heard it before, but I'd forgotten completely about it. But from World War I, at Christmas Eve, on midnight at Christmas Eve in 1914, the firing from the German trenches suddenly stopped. A German band began playing Christmas carols. And then early Christmas morning, the German soldiers came out of the trenches, and they approached the Allied soldiers, and telling them Merry Christmas. And of course, at first, the Allied troops thought that it was they thought it was a trick, and which is only, that's only natural. I would say the same thing. But eventually, they climbed out of the Allied troops climbed out of their trenches as well, and they shook hands with the German soldiers, and this truce lasted for a few days. And the men even exchanged presents of cigarettes and plum pudding and everything with each other, and they sang carols and songs, and they even played a game of soccer together.
Yeah.
So therefore, Christmas, as soon as it hit midnight, in the middle of this trench warfare, it's all of a sudden they stop and they're exchanging gifts and singing together and all this, and it goes on for several days around or following Christmas. And that's just such an inspiring story, that even in a battlefield like that's just amazing.
Which it comes down to I'm sure you've seen some posts on, and I hate to, kind of, modernize such a beautiful event that happened back then, but the spirit is about love. We know why, even though even though there's other things at work in the world, that change our mental perception, our spiritual perception doesn't see any of that. So, I've heard the story that you just said, and that, I'm glad that you brought that up because, especially with, what's happening around us right now, for two people that are completely, opposite sides of, with their own reasons and their own rights to feel that reason, to come together to share that, at least that moment for a few days together. That's what humanity really is.
Absolutely.
That's what all of us are. And if we were to just, my biggest complaint is that's not 365 days of the year. Christmas, even says it in the Christmas story, in the Christmas Carol, Christmas is not just in the hearts of man one day a year, but all days a year. And that's what we should really keep in mind. And unfortunately we live in a world where people are throwing propaganda around to divide us and to, for their own personal gain. But, in the situations that have happened, within my lifetime, you know what? You can't hate somebody just because, of a certain aspect, because the spirit is one.
Right.
And the spirit is what that person is. They might have, other mental ideas or different mentalities on certain subjects, but the spirit, it always remains true, and that's what I try to see in people, and that's what helps me a lot. And if we could take that moment from that Christmas in World War II and make it 365 days a year, we'd be a whole lot better, and not believe so much in in the dramatic aspects of what exhilarates us. We're coming to a point where physical where physical stimulation is kind of drawn out. So we're looking for more, we're looking for more drama, for more stimulation. That's
Yes.
why, so many people hop on, on these things, and we're just craving stimulation. And the whole thing is that we're completely a society that's kind of, lacking spiritual stimulation. And I'm not saying go out to your local church. I don't believe in church. Church happens in your heart.
Right.
You don't have to run out to a house and claim, hey, blah, blah, blah. I've been there, done that, and unfortunately, the misinterpretations of what it's really about occurs too much in these established places. And I don't like saying that, but unfortunately it's true. One thing I've noticed growing up, Catholic was that, we used to pray in church to give the sign of peace. Then we get out to the parking lot. It's every man for himself. Birds are being flipped everywhere. And I want to get, well, if you were such a spiritual person, why are you the first one out the door? That was one of the aspects that I didn't like, about that religion. I mean, like I said, there's good and bad in everything. But, the whole thing is that, we need to emulate, who we are. Don't be, and it comes out of fear of, well, is somebody going to accept me or deny, this gift that I'm giving them? Just go with it. Your heart's telling you what to do. Don't let your mind deceive you. That's the physical. We've cut a lot of spiritual out of who we are. And, even in paranormal research, everybody, says, we're doing this on a scientific standpoint. Well, don't forget, the whole fact that you're there is not for a scientific thing. It's for a spiritual aspect as well. You're experiencing a spirit, not a science.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? and it's I think our field will advance in a whole different other way, in a whole different other direction if we keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, we could have all the gadgets and gizmos we want, but when it comes down to it, our person and who we are is the biggest device and the most accurate device that's there. and the it's the primary device. The cameras and the thermals are just merely there to to back up what we're feeling. But it can't truly be backed up because it's not the it's not. It doesn't have the capability of what our spirit has, and in realizing that, that would be absolutely great if somebody could duplicate the reactions of a person's spirit to the other energies around them. And that would be the best tool ever.
Right. Well, and I think it's, it's ludicrous to try and this is, as much as I love science, I love learning about science. I love being able to, look at something and break it down, see the formula for it, and just really go through and, go to the most basic of the elements and reconstruct it back to have that type of understanding. But you can't apply, you can to an extent, but that can't be your only methodology to researching something that's spiritual. You can't do spirit research without being open to including spiritual factors.
Yeah. And it's not based on one sort of, and that's why, I have, I keep spirituality and religion separate because, religion is a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole puzzle, and that's what, I'm not trying to, downplay anybody's beliefs or anything, this is just my belief, but, why limit yourself to one piece of the puzzle when there's a broader, when you want to solve the puzzle of life, you need to kind of, have all the aspects that you could, grab a hold of, that you could experience yourself. And the biggest thing is that once you let go of religion and actually become a spiritual person, a lot more, it's really a shame. It's really a shame that you can't one can't experience the magnitude of what the spirit experiences and put it into a device. It doesn't do it justice. We get excited when I think for me, I get so excited when I capture a piece of evidence, not because I caught it, is because out of all the things that are happening around us at that moment, that one thing decided that yes, I want to be recorded, or it was able to be recorded. And that's the most exciting part about it.
Absolutely, and hopefully through some of these teams that are looking at it, hopefully they'll look more into parapsychology, start to factor in more the human element, and and because that seems to be the bridge between what's going on with the spirit world, what's going on in the physical sense, and there are there's so many teams that I see now that don't want to look at parapsychology. When you mention that, they think of ESP, remote viewing, they think of those things, and they don't necessarily think of spirits very much, but it's all linked.
It is. It's our body's reaction to our natural environment. Even to put it into scientific form, we're all light. We're just slowed down to different frequencies. We're on different wavelengths, but we are all pure light. And what the soul is, I don't even want to say soul, but the spirit, of who we are, what keeps this nuclear reactor that is contained within this flesh. It's so more. It's like having the best piece of equipment in the worst. It's like having the best CPU chip in the worst possible computer setup ever.
Right.
That's the best way I could put it. And it's just, you can only do so much with the the case that you're living in. but we really got to keep, like they say, keep Christ in Christmas, keep spirit and spiritual.
Right.
I mean, it's, it stems from that. It's not just all science. It's not just all like, okay, let's believe, it's believing in yourself and your own capabilities. Everybody, like I said, everybody has a gift. It's just whether we choose to acknowledge it first and develop it, or just to kind of, brush it aside. You can't be overly, discriminatory. Where it becomes a hindrance, because then you're limiting yourself, and in that limitation, you're not going to experience as much as somebody who's more open-minded. I mean, I see that all the time. Especially the biggest thing that I see is with orbs. I mean, we get on that subject, we could talk about that on a whole different other, thing. But it's not just, are some of them camera stuff, camera defects and whatnot? Of course. There's always that physical sense. But the whole thing is, and it all comes back to intent. What's the intent? What's the purpose of that specific thing being there? If you're always thinking that it's something explainable, well, the spiritual realm is pretty unexplainable. Mm-hmm. Nobody's got a grasp on it. So to just say, oh, it's not that. Well, what happens if that was somebody that was calling out for help, and that's the only way they could, they could come to you for help, or if that's the only way they could communicate with you was that orb, you just completely dismiss them, and that's the whole thing, and that's the hardest part about being an investigator, especially when you're dealing with other people. I mean, you know what you see and what you experience, on both levels, and that's one story. But when you're trying to interpret, especially pictures from other people, that's why I don't even say, I mean, I give my opinion on it, based on what I know, and
right.
I don't expect people to ever believe anything that I say. I don't expect people to ever agree with anything I say. I just say, look at it from my point of view. This is what I see. And that's what a lot of people have to remember too. It's not just, it's either yes or no. No, there's always a possibility. It's better to give a benefit of the doubt than to, case close it.
Right.
Because it's not just for one person to really judge on. Mm-hmm. That's why when I see those pictures, I do put them online for other people to share their thoughts on it, because it's also a learning experience for me. There's been quite a few times just viewers have come up with some really, really interesting aspects of what, might be in the picture. And recently there was one person, and I felt bad for her because, she was giving her opinion. She didn't say anything wrong or anything like that. This person says psychics. So you're claiming you're a psychic now? I'm like, and I don't know if you saw on the page, there was a black and white picture that I put up first, but the viewer sent me the color picture later on, and
mm-hmm.
she guessed that the image, the questionable part of the image, the person was wearing a red shirt. And guess what? When I posted, when the viewer sent me the color version of it, the person was wearing a red shirt. So I went back and I defended her, because that's the right thing to do. You have no right to put somebody down for explaining their point of view. And she wound up being right. Which brought me to the point where it's like, well, what else is she right about? And that's the way I kind of look at it. Even if it wasn't a real picture, even if it was, somebody just walking by, and because the whole thing was, it was a Christmas party.
Right.
People have a good time. So it does have a logical explanation to it. But just the mere fact that she was able to get a color out of a black and white picture, that's
mm-hmm.
awesome to me. That's somebody that I.
Right.
So,
that's definitely, intriguing to think of it at the very least.
Yeah, and that's just that's nobody that's claiming any celebrityism. That's not somebody that's using it. That's just an average person that was using their intuition, and
mm-hmm.
that we all have.
Right.
That we that everybody has, is if you just know how to kind of tune into it, even if a little bit. the radio station of life is so grand in comparison to the station that we're actually tuned into. When you start tuning into other radio stations and recognizing these other radio stations that are there, in an analytical sense, it's mind blowing. If mine, the whole thing is if my radio station was tuned a little bit differently, guess what? I would be able to read, I would be able to hear people's thoughts. I would be able to, it's just that one dot, that 0.00000, all the way down to that one that differentiates us, that's so incredible, And actually, science is starting to come on board with that too, because they've recently, I don't know if it was recent or not, but they've figured out, they've kind of saw the connection between two people that were able to communicate just through telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
They're just discovering the elements of spirituality now, because they've ran out of science. And unfortunately, that's kind of the downfall of science is that it can only go so far, because science is only meant to fulfill science's agenda. It can only take you so far, because that's the aspect of it can only fill up so much without having to look into other venues to kind of connect the pieces together. And so it's very exciting in the scientific world too. With quantum theory and all that stuff, that they're showing how things could travel through time and space, wormholes and stuff like that, and just all sorts of other things. And it's like, well, you know what? I bet you could go that much farther if you just put a little bit of spirituality into it. And I'm not, like I say, when I say spirituality, I'm not saying run out to church, start,
right,
making all sorts of things and whatever. I'm saying just realize that there's another aspect of who we are besides just the physical. Just give it a shot.
Absolutely. I personally believe that one thing that we're seeing that contributes to a lot of the negative cases is is a complete lack of any type of spirituality, any type of faith. And that's definitely, I would say, a major factor for most of these cases.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've probably ran into that yourself.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and I'm not speaking, for me, in my personal journey, I became, very anti-religion, for reasons, because, just, rebellion and stuff like that. And this is the funniest story. When I went to, and I don't know if you or anybody that's listening or whatever believes in this, but I got my aura, I got aura photography done on me, and it wound up being that I have such a connection in my crown chakra. It's like they were like, this is like almost not even being chartable.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that it was that strong, which the crown chakra signifies a connection to the grander, to the universe. It's our connection to the universe. So while I was sitting there being like, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, and religion-wise at least, this is when I was, more of a teenager, of course, but
right.
I had more of a stronger connection than some people, out there, and it's just it's hilarious because you never realize this until you decide to know about it, or decide to investigate about it and into yourself, not just into buying what somebody else says or believing what somebody else says, but believing in yourself and using that information to expand yourself, and it definitely has to. It definitely has to be some sort of expanding, especially in this, in this, what we're doing.
Well, and I want to run something by you on, a lot of people hear the word aura, and
mm-hmm.
immediately the inner skeptic comes out and they immediately want to dismiss it. You know, right there, they're like, okay, this person's way out in left field. But, and this is something that I was just talking about here a couple of weeks ago. Have you ever heard of a biophoton?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, around all of us, we have a biophoton field. The biophoton field is directly reactive with the brain waves that we put off. It, much the same as an aura, is directly reactive with thoughts, emotions, intents. So, and this is just a personal theory that I've always had. But if, you know, is someone, when they see auras, you know, I've always wondered, are they seeing those biophotons? And as it changes colors, is it reacting to that person's thoughts, to their mood, to their emotions? Because light is a wave. Yes, it acts like a particle, but ultimately it's a wave. And different colors represent different wavelengths. When they see it go from red to yellow to blue, is it really something that is so mystical that science shouldn't look into it? Or is that person seeing this biophoton field and the color being represented and its changes and variations being the reactions from that person's brain waves that are resulting from their thoughts and emotions? I've always wondered if that might be a scientific explanation for the aura.
It definitely could be, you know, and you know, it's the same on the spiritual side too. You know, if you're all spiritual and not, you know, scientific, you know, if that's not, you're not fulfilling the equation either. You know, I mean, you know, both sides kind of have to come together, you know, on a happy ground and learn from each other at some point. You know, to excel in either field. You know, that's a very plausible explanation. You know, I mean, because my personal belief is that, you know, the aura is representative of our energy field. You know, we're not. You know, if we weren't contained in this energy field, we would be blobs. You know, of just running mass. You know, besides skeletal structure, you know, our body acts like a nuclear reactor, you know, in a sense where it's powering itself. You know, I mean, look at batteries; they die after a while. How are we able to live so long? You know, I mean, you know, we have a timestamp on who we are, yes, but the energy part never dies, and that's already been scientifically, you know, kind of, you know, talked about as well. You know, by come on, names here, Albert Einstein and you know, and people like him. You know, that energy does not die. It just, you know, it keeps going. Exactly. You know, and that's the whole thing. What these people are witnessing, I think, is just the field around them. You know, just like nobody. You know, people have 20/20 vision. People have, you know, lesser vision, nearsighted, farsighted, lazy eye. You know, some people have the ability to see these things because that's their makeup. They're able to. You know, not everybody's going to see it. Not everybody's, you know, is, you know, going to experience it. But that's just who they are. That's all the traits of physical and spiritual that have brought them to this point in time. You know, and that's I'm telling you, every subject we've hit on, we could talk about for hours. I mean,
right. Well, in the chat room, they were joking a few minutes ago about doing a 24-hour show, and then it was brought up doing a 72-hour marathon show. And I told them I'm up for it.
I don't really sleep, so I'm all right.
Right. You know, I've got a kicking case of ADD. I mean, it can keep me going, and you know, between that and caffeine, I'm good for hours and hours and hours. So I mean, hey, we could do a broadcast from now all the way to Christmas.
All right.
Everybody in the chat room right now, or everybody listening, is going, "Oh my God, he might be serious." Especially those that know me.
Maybe he is. Maybe.
Right.
The only way you'll know is stay tuned.
Right. Right. And well, I mean, I will say this. My mother talked a lot anyway, and my dad was a minister, so I mean, it was destined for me to talk a lot. I mean, that's
Oh, there you go.
right. That explains it. And
Yeah. And you're talking to a New Yorker here that always has an opinion, so I mean, it works out pretty good. Because we New Yorkers could chat. I'm just saying, we were just naturally chatters. Like, oh, you know what? And then that's, and it's a fun part of talking to people from I've talked to people from London to to everywhere, and just to hear the mannerisms. We're so fit. New Yorkers are so fast paced, and we talk so fast, and like while we're having a conversation, I'm like, Frank's talking at a nice note. Why can't I talk like that? And I literally run out of breath trying to talk, and you're just like, yep, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yep, we're good. And I'm like, oh, come on. Why can't I be like calm and collected?
It's a Southern thing, is what it is. In the South, everybody talks slow, but we're pretty much. I made the remark last night. I was on Roger Belt's show, and he has Southern Fried Paranormal, and awesome show. Had a ton of fun on there, and I made the remark yesterday about when you cross over here into Alabama from the Eastern time zone, you set your watch back an hour and 20 years. I mean, we're just moving a lot slower, and there are some people that you'll meet in these areas that they talk like this, I reckon.
But you know what? And you know what? Coming from where I am, where everything is always so fast, but we have in my region, we have yet to discover that fast and furious is not always the best route. A lot of people, by me, unfortunately, talk before they think, and just to hear, it's very refreshing, to talk to somebody outside of the crazy zone, where it's like, yeah,
Well, now you are aware that I'm in Alabama, right?
Right. So. I've never been there, so I don't know. I just go by what I see.
We'll just call it a different crazy zone.
All right. It's a different kind of crazy. Yeah. But it's definitely refreshing. Yet again, thank you for having me on the show. It's always great to talk. It's great to talk in general, but talk about something intelligent and to have somebody to share intelligent thoughts with. I'm about that anytime, anywhere.
Absolutely.
So definitely appreciate you having me on the show.
I definitely agree, and it's been an absolute pleasure. I could keep going just indefinitely, and I was seriously considering that about going until midnight tomorrow night, but I guess I'll let everybody listening off the hook this one time.
All right.
But yeah, it's been a great, it's been great having you on the show. I've really enjoyed it, learned a lot, and hopefully everyone listening has learned half as much as I have.
Definitely, I've learned too, and I'm definitely, it's always great talking to other people that share the same, share the same thoughts and the same, thought-provoking ideas, and it's just always a wonderful experience, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about stuff, because I in the daily, day-to-day life, you don't really get to talk about, at least I don't get to share as much, about the paranormal community, unless I'm in the paranormal situation. So it's always a pleasure, I mean, I'm sure you get the same thing too. You've been called Ghostbuster,
Yeah.
My boss literally has my ringtone as the Ghostbusters theme song. I'm like, really?
Right. Well, they actually did a newspaper article about me and the team here locally. And if you Google Frank Lee Paranormal, it will pop up the ad in the Washington Times, and it says, Alabama Ghost Hunter on Spooky Search. That's the headline.
I'm telling you.
But,
You know what? At least, I'll tell you this much. At least we get, that much credit. I don't, like I said, I don't expect people to understand or believe everything that I say, but just the fact that they're open to it. That's all I could ever ask anybody. Just be open to it. Don't, it's not a subject where it's like, oh, you either, believe what I say or you're not, or you're an outcast. It's a very interpretable field that we're in because it's such a personal experience that it's happening on. So, I mean, just to be able to share, experiences and thoughts and just ideas with each other, that's like the best thing ever.
Absolutely. Well, with that said, I guess we'll, before we go though, give everybody your website information and how they can get in touch with the team and everything should they need anything, and they'll definitely want to follow you. I follow you on Facebook. Awesome page.
Well, thank you. Same here too. You guys do awesome stuff, and I mean just to dedicate a show, about paranormal. I mean that's absolutely amazing, because you're being active in it. Sometimes I wish I could be a little bit more active and within my own time frame, but groups like you are very inspirational. Who have talk shows, who are active, developing, just having their little piece of the field, to call their own. It's very inspirational. It's definitely inspiration to me. So,
Well, I definitely believe that that's what it's all about is, helping each other, digging in when you need to, and, maybe taking others under your wings, learning from each other. It's, just being there. There's no competition between what we're all out to do. We're all working for the same goal.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that, some groups are going to have to, overcome is that, listen, it's a community. It's not called a paranormal community for nothing. We all work together to, share experiences and to further the field, and just like, everybody else, the community has people, that are at different points, but whatever point we're at, we contribute. We could at least contribute to that greater scheme that we're all trying to get to,
Yes.
or been there and trying to prove, maybe not prove, but just share with the rest of the world. That's what I like to put it as. I don't really like to prove, because for me that's like, for me proving paranormal is kind of like saying hey, the sky is blue. It's like, okay, yeah, I know that. I already know. It's just trying to interpret it into what people can understand. That's I think the bigger scheme of it. And just showing people that, hey, this is what's going on.
Absolutely. Ed, and I want to plant this seed for everyone who's listening. When you take that time and you invest that time into helping other investigators, when you take that time into, your team helps another team, maybe brings them along, maybe you find a new team that's not very experienced, so you bring them along on an investigation to help educate them, bring them up to speed. Any of that time that you invest, any of those materials, the learning materials that you share, any of the knowledge that you share, you're not just making an investment in that individual or that team. You're making an investment. You're taking one step at a time to make the whole paranormal research field better. You're setting an example of unity and teamwork, and you're sharing knowledge and promoting that sense, and that's what it's going to take to really build it up to where it needs to be.
Well, I couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said that better.
So,
It really is about, the paranormal field isn't any different than anything else. What you put out, you get back, and
Absolutely.
maybe not in the way that you expected, but in my personal experiences, just helping people out with the littlest things, from questions to, what equipment to buy, what to do in certain situations, the thank that you get in this field, from the people that are truly in it for the right reason is incredible. They're all very, very heartwarming, very warm-hearted people. They're very thankful people, and I'm just as thankful to have as many people that I know. And to me, I never really try to put people on pedestals more than they're worth. But to me, it's very incredible. Just to have certain to have the people that I have, just even talk to me and want to communicate and want to, share things. So, I try to emanate, what I like to see in the paranormal field, and, you get what you get what you give.
absolutely.
And with that, I'm sorry. I know everything. I'm turning into a completely different other conversation. I apologize.
You just, I guess the short of it is that, we were all new in the field at some point, and we all had to learn somehow. I was fortunate. I had a very good group of people take me under their wing and point me in the right direction, and it helped me greatly. They pointed me in the right direction of what books to read, and that's what it's about. That's what the whole show is about, is doing that for other people in the field. So
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
wandering about aimlessly and lost, and it's helping to really promote that. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, with that being said, like I say, I appreciate you coming on the show. I've had a blast. I've
Me too.
loved it.
If you haven't noticed.
Right. So, well, and I want to thank everyone for listening, and I hope everyone has a great night and a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And here's a little creepy music on the way out.
network, the paranormal will never be the same again.